Hello folks, welcome here, Arne Pilze, again at the mic, narrating a match which was recorded a while back, together with the match you've seen before, the Mardu against Jeskai. This time around is a bit of a boring one. Well, not exactly boring, but oh, what am I talking about? It's Esper Pact. It could be like dull and amazing at some other points at the same time, so stay tuned. Up against the familiar for you, like Giant Aggro, but with a bit of a twist. I'm trying out the putting back a playset of Galactic Company back to the deck, so want to see how that works out. Definitely expect it to give me additional powers in this kind of matchup where removal doesn't really matter and I need more action. But I felt like this is a good call against Jeskai and all the different variations of Esper. I definitely wanted to try out Esper Pact against a deck like Mardu Dragons, but the one I had in my hands during that day for those playtest sessions was so much geared towards aggro decks, so I thought that it won't be a really interactive match. Even after sideboard and the Mardu Dragons was just packing a huge amount of different sorts of removals and tricks, and not so much in terms of action and grinding power. So I thought that I better come up with something more intriguing because of every deck runs buttload of fetch lands. We couldn't pair up like Jeskai against the Esper Pact because of polluted deltas, but once we get to grab enough of those, we can definitely pair up a couple of different control decks against each other. Okay, the Giant started with the Bloodstained Mars for swamp into the Trapper. That's the one drop elf that gives mana for elf spells and makes your attacking elves death touch. Esper just went into with tapped black-white manlands, Shambling Vents, I think. Yeah, that's the name. Forest from elves. Yeah, as you may have noticed, I do really like those Onslaught and Odyssey block basics, probably among my favorite ones, even though I'm a bit biased because I started from them. So my turn to play was not attack with the elf, but use it for mana and cast the Shaman of the Pack, train for 2, and also it's a free 2 body to attack with. Opponent just went with polluted, well, not polluted, flooded strand and passed. From me it was black-red's duel, the marsh, just attacking with the guys for 4. He's down to 14. I'm at 18, but that's not a huge concern. Then I'm suggesting him a Drana, Liberator of Malakir. It's gonna resolve because his build is not very counterspell-ish, even though I suggested for him to run some copies of Clash of Wills in his deck, because here it will be just Majestic. He cannot run the Silumgan Scorns. I don't think his mana base supports it that much. Also, he doesn't have dragons. The Haven of the Spirit Dragon, which you saw here, was just to bring back Ugin. Ruinous Path gets rid of the Drana to slow me down a little bit, but he's already at 13 and he's looking at 4 damage at least. Visionary just to see what's coming up. Another Visionary. So few loots, more pressure on the board. He needs a Lanquish here. He's down to 9. He's really hoping for Lanquish here, and here it comes. clearing up the board. But I do have a bit of reach in my deck between stuff like, let's say, Colligan, which can be dashed in for a haste amount of damage, then follow up Shamans to drain for more, and I think I actually moved for that playtest session the Touch of the Void, which I used to have main deck. So just putting more stuff into play, Visionary and then Archer. This is 3 damage on board, although he has the Shambling Vent, but no mana to activate it because of those of that Haven and 2 islands. So no second white to activate the Manland here, which would be pretty good for him to blank my attack potentially. The Vista comes down. Moving to combat, but he goes for ultimate price on Archer, card that is very tricky to play right now. It's definitely fine if you have access to Jace in your deck, but other than that it's pretty tricky. Jace definitely should be in his deck, I believe. But the guy like normally plays limited and just started investing into standards, and that was his deck of choice, the most interesting one that appealed to him. He puts down network. The whole idea of the network is once you get enough of card advantage engine going with the multiple pacts, you can really use that extra mana to cast more spells per turn. End of turn Galactic Company here. Very lucky flip into Dwynen's Allied, which is gonna produce a token and Shaman of the Pact, so Shaman's draining for 4 here, and I add 6 power to the board with this company. So flips like this really make it appealing to have Coco in your deck. On the other hand, it really limits the kind of creatures and spells you may run in the deck, so that's kind of a annoying part. Because of that, I only kept as cards that can't be flipped. So the Elvish Lord and the Colligan, so he goes for Silumgar's Command and minuses one guy and kills the Shaman, so minus the Dwynen, I believe. That put him down to 1. I think what I had in my hand was just another copy of Coco. So he already needs to deal with these 2 guys on board. Obviously, the main reason to run Command in his deck is to have a flexible card that can also bounce the Pact. Or I believe like one of the modes is to kill non-creature. Well, at least like it has the bounce mode there. Okay, Coco end of turn, showing him Shaman number 3 and 4, which is definitely enough here while he's so tapped out. This is really like the best the Coco can get in this deck, but I don't know. It's hard to say what's better. To make space for the Coco, I took out the Touch of the Voids and extra 4 drops like Brutal Hardship, stuff like that, and I think I did cut also the Touch of Warcaller. That's the 5 mana elf that's like overrun on the stick that pumps your team. But the thing is that against a lot of decks, I want to side into the Outpost Sages and the Evolutionary Lips and stuff like Duress and maybe Transgress the Minds. and removal for, let's say, stuff like Mantis Rider and what have them. Like if it's dragons that I'm bringing in self-inflicted wounds. So because I'm gonna side in a lot of spells and removal, the appeal of Coco is really very limited. As you can see, like I'm taking it out because it's gonna not actually show that many creatures a lot of the time. Also did end up putting a Liliana into the deck to maximize value from the company. He's bringing a Painful Terrific Crux of Fate and the Slumgers inside? No. He's actually siding those out from the main deck. He runs those cards simply because he has the Dark Petition, so he can tutor for a range of one-offs. So he's bringing the Surge of Righteousness, that's correct. I do have quite a few black creatures, and Cleric is definitely good. So I'm taking out some one-drops, I'm taking the Lords, which are definitely great in Dark Jeskai matchup because they block Mantis Rider. But here I just want more grinding power, so I took out the Elvish Lords and 1/1 drop. Bringing Tasigur is also correct here, but he opts not to do that. Actually would have probably kept the Crux of Fate too, even though it's less appealing because of Siege, Leap, and stuff like that. But he needs mass removal, even though it's 5 mana, but it's still okay. Languish, by the way, cannot kill the the Dragon Colligan, if I end up just playing it and not dash it. And I do like it for the reasons of him running a lot of actually sorcery speed removal, and Cleric as a ground blocker, so that can fly over, stuff like that. Also plays well around Ugin. So I don't know really. The problem is that while Warcaller sometimes could be amazing, it's a 5-drop, and also a lot of the time against most of the top decks, you're not gonna have a lot of stuff on the boards, whichever deck is that. Maybe against Absence sometimes, but I don't know, didn't really have great experience yet with it in general, even though there were sometimes situations when it was really strong. Brutal Hardship is kinda weird because it also dies to stuff like Fury Impulse, and it's vulnerable to all the big removal like Absent Charm and stuff like that. So that's my problem with those kind of cards. Turn 2 Evolutionary Leap, while his turn 2 was nothing. Third land and just passing. Leap is a pretty awkward card because you most of the time want to keep mana up to get value out of it. But his deck is very few win conditions, so the game could go really long. So here I just played Wine and Light, even though I had access to, let's say, play Shaman here and then next turn Elite with a token, but I just wanted to keep the green mana up at all times. Even though here maybe it was correct to lead with a Shaman, but I just wanted to grind him out basically. That was my plan here in this game with these kind of draws. Because between Leap and Siege and all the action I have, like, I have so much going on. Even though Pact is a great advantage machine, but yeah, I have now redundant second copy of Leap in my hand. Colgan might do quite a bit of work. I have the Shaman. I have, I think, Outpost Siege as well here. I lead with the Shaman so that I can keep mana up for the Leap. So drain for 2, attack for 2. He took a couple of pains also from a couple of fetch lands, so that's why he's at 14 here. I think he opted to draw extra cards with the Pact this time. Outpost Siege is definitely a card I've been super impressed. Okay, he goes for Duress, which is a bit unfortunate. He can take the dragon, he definitely is not gonna take the leap, so would have to say goodbye to the siege, which is a bit sad, but on the other hand, I still have a resolved leap on board. He fetches up his 5th land here. He's kind of forced to languish here. So I eat one of my guys, doesn't matter which one, to use the leap. I just get the archer, which is not great, but this kind of stuff actually adds up. And that kind of stuff actually adds up. It's kind of sad that if I stick to running Collecting Company in attack, it's hard to play stuff like Touch of the Void, which has been pretty good, Exiling Chase, Mantis Rider, Hanger Backwalker, finishing off Planeswalkers. So I just attacked for 5 with the dragon, passed the turn. Now he used the mode to drain for 4. That puts me down to 15, which is still not scary, but he's up to 12, so land number 6 online. He plays a second Pact here, which is kinda interesting. He still has one more mode for the first Pact. Okay, play a land in case of, I don't know. Well, ultimate price doesn't kill the dragon. Okay, dash it in again for 5. He's down to 7. Now he's faced with some decisions here. He's gonna make me discard 2 with the first Pact. Oh, no, actually make me discard 4, which is really good. This is something I should have played around. So maybe I should have just cast the Colligan. So this is something which is really tough to play around. Normally you're not really used to play against Pact decks. So I thought like he would make me discard 2, let's say, and I don't know, draw 2. But yeah, this is something that people should be aware of. Training just for 1. I have mana to eat my death right for, I mean not death right, shaman. So he's gonna disperse the first Pact back to his hands. Now he's thinking what mode to choose for the second one he played. He chose to draw 2 extra cards. So he has the deal 4 mode still available with that one. Which is sort of annoying. Going to attacks. He's really tanking. Apparently he messed up his plays. He takes it. I just play Outpost Siege to have another way to draw gas, because I'm hellbent. That resolves and he's tanking. I think you're starting to get an idea of what went wrong for his side of the board. So he's casting Dig here. I think what's according to my, let's say, calculations, he still has 1 mode left for the ticking up Pact. Pact number 2, let's say. I wasn't really keeping track of all those modes super accurately when we were playing. Now I'm trying to monitor all that. So he's basically forced to kill the elf here. The second one he can probably do stuff like draw 2 cards. He decides to drain me for some reason. I think the second one he was just drawing 2 extra cards. I know, I think he just used both modes. Yeah, he used both modes on to deal 4 to me. Now casting Obi-Wan Kenobi, trying to kill Shaman. I eat it to the lip, get another Shaman. So I got that going, and he already used the draining ability of both pacts, and I would draw an extra card with the siege. Okay, so now the funny moment happened. He actually messed it up. He didn't have to play Obnixilis there. He could have kept mana up to cast command, kill my guy, and bounce one of the packs. So he messed it up a little bit. Went a bit greedy. got lost in translation, let's say. So we move on to the next game. It's hard to say if he would have played optimally, or let's say correctly, who would have won. I think I was in a fine position, even though he had quite a bit of gas. But Obnixilis wasn't a huge issue. Only Ugin is something that would really be hurtful for me. Between the leap and siege, like doing work, I probably would never run out of gas, and eventually I would just present too much pressure for him to deal with. But yeah, he had quite a few answers. Next turn, Siege might as well have showed me a land, and then I would draw another land, and then with those kind of draws, he probably would have a real chance to seize the initiative in there. It's hard to say which Esper variant will be tougher for my deck to deal with. As we can see, probably not this version, even though it could be hard sometimes if I have really slow draws or I get really flooded or screwed. Well, basically, if I have clunky draws, he has a good chance. If I have average draws, it's hard for him. Plus, my sideboard is really well met for these kind of matchups. And then Esper Dragons is actually fine between all the advantage engines and self-inflicted and discard. Probably Esper tokens will be the toughest one to combat with this kind of deck. Too many blockers and early answers. So yeah, it's not a joke or anything. The video froze there, but unfroze in a blink of an eye. Anyway, I was explaining stuff to you. But if you think you have some good ideas on how to make the setup look better without huge investments, I'm all ears. Normally my main problems would be with the sounds and maybe the lighting, but it all depends on the place I'm recording at. It varies so much, it's really hard to tune up. I think he's mulliganing here. His deck really doesn't mulligan that well. Probably much worse than the other Esper variants. It's hard to say which existing deck would be probably the closest to what I've brewed up and tested extensively in the past months after the start of this standard season. I'm talking about this giant aggro deck. It's very close in terms of playstyle to Megamorph deck. Very close to that kind of playstyle. Or something like banned tokens. Galactic Company, apart from elves here, flips the established stars like Warden of the First Tree. Also, I do run a set of Rakshasa Death Dealers, so those are very fine to flip. I run only 2 Wardens because I already have 8 other 1-drops, those black elves. I don't run the Cutthroat here. It's not the right deck for it. Though if I would be Splash in white and rally, I would definitely play Cutthroat. I was thinking for a long time to maybe try out the Hero of the Wilds, just the 2-mana Death Touch guy. But it doesn't really get big in my deck, like no rhinos or anything. Kolaghan is not enough, Elvish Lord is just a 3/4. I had an archer here on turn 1 and he just has the network plus the stream. Fetching up a forest. I do like my mana base for sure. Between 8 fetches and 2 duels and 4 pain lands, it's really easy. Although double red is definitely a no-bow for this deck, though it's definitely possible to use the second ability of the Brutal Hardship. Although in this build, during this playtest session, I didn't run it. It actually, if you think about it, could be a great mind trick for decks like Jeskai. They would maybe bring in stuff like Dispel or Disdainful Stroke for things like Galactic Company and some other dudes. And then I would change into Leap plus Siege engine. And they would probably not bring in the Cub. But Dramoka's command is still very good against me, even without the enchantment clause. So Archer attack for 2. I had a Dwynen's Elite. On his turn, just a Flooded Strand and nothing. Obviously, he charged the network at the end of my turn previously. I do have more lands and more action. Lanquish is less of a concern here, even though he can get the Sunken Hollow here with the Strand, and then on his turn play a, let's say, a Swamp or something like that. But the odds of that are not huge. Of course, Polluted Delta gets him that second black. But, okay, Evolutionary Leap got negated here, but I still have 5 points a turn here. So that should be quite okay. I think it's second leap in my hand there. He's definitely gonna get the hollow. He needs the black mana. He's already down to 12, so he would need the deck to really cooperate with him. Here's a swamp, so there is that, but instead of Languish I get to face a Pact. Languish probably would be pretty good here, because now he's gonna take the extra 5, okay, like he can drain 4 next turn, kill a guy, gain 4. Now I cast the second lip, so even if he gets a Languish, I have 2 green mana up to eat my guys and get value. We're trying to sort out what was the mode with the Pact here. I think he kind of got confused with his plans here. So the mode was to draw 2 extra cards. So basically he needs to Languish here. Don't really know why he's stepping this way. So path onto the elites. I get a Visionary. It's still 3 more damage coming. If I get Fetch to get a red source here, she might be dead. But I drew it naturally. I mean, just a duelant. Visionary. I think my hat is just a few creatures. I tried to loot till I get, I don't know, Sage, Colligan or Company. Well, no, I took out Company. 3 more damage, but I still have like 1 green up, so I get more gas, and it's pretty much Languish or bust. Decides to kill the archer here. Goes up to 8. Don't know, maybe it should be 9. I think he was at 4. Blastimar. Here something like Crux of Fate would be fine. I would get more gas, but like whatever. He's casting second Pact. That's kind of funny. Okay. Kraken that lands because I don't want to get caught up with anything. Plus I have so much stuff in my hands, and I don't really mind playing it out as long as I have green mana up for the leap. The deck which is kinda problematic for mine to face is also Flavors of Eldrazi. If I don't get to draw my Murderous Cut, or which doesn't kill Ulamog anyway, but kills the other beat sticks. But Transgress to Mine is great here, and if I have like slow draws, then it's really tough. It's really tough. Also the decks, the Eldrazi's decks that I played in my area normally feature from beyond, so there is that. Attacking with some guys, playing more dudes, keeping a couple green up. So he's really challenged here. He really needs a sweeper here. He's out of 5. He really needs to figure out what can he do here, potentially. He already used the draw effect in one of the pacts. He can kill a guy to gain more life, but he probably needs to draw more cards with the other one. It's really tough. Tough spot, but not really complicated decisions. If I was him, I would probably crack that fetch at upkeep before the triggers from the Pact resolve, so that he gets more chances of drawing removal. And he probably needs still to drain. So this was what he does, and he decides to simply drain me because he needs Lanquish here anyway. But I think he didn't use up the fetch before drawing. Because this attack is, well, this attack is actually not lethal even if I boost the Warden. It would be 8, putting him to 1. This person, one of the Pacts. I guess this is something he has to do. Because if he doesn't do it on my turn or on his turn, at his next turn, the upkeep trigger is gonna go on the stack. Anyways, even through a potential ultimate price or anything, I had the shaman. So there is that. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, leave whatever opinions and feedback in the comment section below. So until the next sale, goodbye.